know when it's time for a website redesign? Maybe your design feels a little bit outdated, or your branding has evolved over time. Maybe you have new services to offer and your website's showing things you don't even want to do anymore. Possibly your business goals have shifted a bit since you put your website up, or worst of all, maybe your website is costing you business instead of working hard to help you get it. These are all valid motivations to consider a fresh new look. And on that note, I'm so excited to tell you that I have recently launched my own redesign website for these exact same reasons. If we haven't met before, my name is Alli, and I help entrepreneurs like you elevate your brand and online presence so that you can quickly and confidently connect with your dream clients and ultimately make more money in your business. And yes, even sometimes I have to treat myself as my own client. There's this saying that you may have heard where the shoemaker's children are always the last to actually be the ones to get the new shoes. And that's how I feel about websites in my own business. Even though I'm a website designer, mine always comes last because it's really hard to find the time to work on my own site. I'm a bit embarrassed to share that I was getting to the point with my website that I didn't want to send potential clients there anymore. Now, when they landed there, what they saw was still great in their opinion. I was still getting compliments on my site and still getting clients from it, but it just wasn't aligned with where my business is at now and where I'm headed. So it was high time for a change. My business goals have changed, my offers have expanded, and over time, I have just gotten so much more clear on my overall brand and messaging. All of these changes made me realize that my old site just wasn't cutting it anymore, and it was time to redo it. So I took the plunge and did a complete overhaul, and trust me when I say it has been worth every single second. The question is, if you're watching this video, does your website need a glow up too? So here are 4 signs that it's time for a makeover. Let's start by talking about design, because trends are constantly evolving, and that's kind of the thing with trends. When you stick with trends, they're gonna need to be updated. So things might have looked really fresh and new a couple years ago, but if you're looking at it now, it feels kind of like a trip down memory lane. An outdated aesthetic like this can seriously hurt your credibility because visitors are expecting a sleek and modern experience when they land on your website. If they don't get that, it's kind of giving off the vibe that you're not keeping up with the times. So how can you even tell if your website is stuck in the past? The first thing I'm going to point out is really obvious to viewers at this point is that if your site isn't mobily responsive, it's very outdated. It needs to resize automatically to fit on different screen sizes, mobile, tablet, anywhere someone's viewing your site, or it's a huge red flag. In today's mobile first world, viewers really expect to see a mobile design, and if you don't have one, they kind of just get frustrated and it pushes them away. The good news is that having a mobile responsive design is standard practice now, and any website builder that you're going to use is built in with this capability, and with some tweaking along the way, you can have a flawless website that looks great across all devices. So fantastic if your site is already mobile friendly. You've passed that one, check that off the list. But what if it just kind of feels outdated? Maybe your fonts are clunky and your color palette is kind of dull looking, and just overall the layout is complicated and confusing. These are all signs that your website needs a redesign. A redesign can breathe new life into your website, make it visually appealing and really user-friendly, and make it appear current with the trends that are going on today. Next up, let's talk about your business goals, because you set up your business goals when you started your business, hopefully, and your website should be built to align to help you reach those goals. So if your goals have changed over time, your website needs to be updated as well. Maybe you started your website simply to build brand awareness, but now you're really ready to ramp up sales. If your website wasn't built to help you do that, it's not going to work. So what can you do about this? The first thing you can do is take a minute to revisit your website goals. Take some time and think through what your current priorities are for your business and how your website can help you reach them. So are you trying to generate leads? Are you trying to boost sales? Or maybe you're just trying to give a really great customer experience through your website. And then also you need to evaluate your site's functionality. So does your site have the features and tools that it needs to help you achieve those goals? For example, if your goal now is to generate more leads, does your website have really clear calls to action, a booking calendar integrated perhaps, and really great, easy to use forms? The third thing you want to have a look at is if your offers have changed, because if your website isn't currently representing what it is that you want to do, what it is that you love to do, then no one's going to know that you do it. This was a big reason behind my own website redesign. I had developed new ways of working with clients, but my website hadn't caught up. And the result was a lot of unnecessary explanation on sales calls that I could totally cut out by redesigning my site with my new offers. So here's what you can do. Start by taking a complete audit of your services in general. Are they up to date on your website? Are there new services that have to be added, or are there any offers that need to be removed? You want to be highlighting your latest and greatest. So look through your site and make sure that your most innovative offers, your best solutions, are the ones that are being showcased. Make sure that these are featured and that they're really easy for your potential clients to find. And then of course, clear out those cobwebs. So if there's any outdated information or services that you don't want to offer anymore, let's get rid of those and update the information that needs to be updated. This is going to help prevent confusion and make sure that your potential clients know exactly how you can help them. The fourth sign is that your brand has evolved. So brands aren't static, and over time, they change, right? For example, if you're over on social media and you're posting constantly every day, that brand might be being used a little bit differently than how you had initially set it up. So it starts to kind of waver away from how it might look on your website. Maybe you've expanded your color palette, or like in my case, it's the same color palette that I'm using, but I've just shifted the way that I'm using the colors. Maybe you're using a different font that you've added in, or maybe you've just gotten really clear on your brand voice over time. If your website's content and visuals don't match up with how you're showing up on other platforms, there's going to be a disconnect when people land on your website. That's going to cause confusion and ultimately really reduce the impact that you want your brand to make. So what you need to do is an audit of your branding. Take a really good look at those brand guidelines you hopefully have set up and see if you're using your logo differently or your colors differently. Are you using different typefaces or elements, patterns, icons? Have these changed, and do they need to be updated? Are you showing up consistently across all these other platforms that you show up on and your website? So what do you think now that you know these 4 telltale signs? If you're thinking, yep, it's time for a redesign, don't worry, I've got you. I'm sharing my entire framework with you inside of my free on-demand training, Booking Clients and Making Bank. Head over to dowelldesignstudio.com/training to learn step-by-step how to create an online presence that attracts your dream clients and gets them saying yes to your offer.